Okay, so let's start with just some centered breathing. So make yourself comfortable. Forgot to put my blanket on the chair. And I like to sit forward of the chair because that uses your core muscles, your spinal muscles to hold you upright. If you lean back in the chair, those muscles, sort of take a vacation. So if you want to work those muscles a little bit, then sit forward in your chair. Eyes can be open or closed, whatever's comfortable for you. And just take a moment to feel your feet on the floor. You could wiggle your toes, perhaps, just kind of waking up the feet. And feel like when you breathe in, you actually breathe in from your feet, not the nose. So the air comes in, just imagining the air comes in through your feet and up into the body. And exhale out the feet as though the feet are kind of your nose. So kind of reversing the feel of how you take in oxygen. You can bring the breath up as high up into the body, into the lungs, even up into the head if you like. Breathe in from the bottom up. Breathe back out from the top down. So every now and then it's kind of cool to just change up the way you think about how you nourish your body, whether that's with food or in this case with the breath, and even with movement. So we get in these habits of moving the body the same way day in, day out. So this is what's nice about yoga is we move the body in sort of bizarre ways that gets things, the neurons and things that are firing off when you're thinking about how you're breathing or thinking about how you're going to move the body. Then the neurons that trigger to make that happen, we're changing it up with yoga. So just changing that up right now. Take another 2 or 3 breaths in from the feet. All right, let's see if that just sort of stirred anything up with the neurons in the brain going, getting a little sort of freaked out. And then let's start with the hands. See if you can see this okay, how I can come forward if need be. But we're going to move with the breath. So an inhale will be some movement and the exhale will be another movement. So in this case, we're just going to turn the palms up and out. Got your inhale. Exhale, put the hands back, palms down on the lap or anywhere comfortable for you. So if ever I'm suggesting a movement and your body doesn't like that movement, see if you can adjust it yourself. And if not, by all means, give me a holler and I'll give you an alternate movement. We're going to do one arm at a time next and go in a different range of motion. So one hand's going to stay down, the other arm's going to go up. Any way you like, any arm movement that you like. Inhale it up or out to the side, whatever is comfortable for you. And sometimes one shoulder can do a movement and the other arm can't. And so it doesn't matter, we're doing one arm at a time so you can play with it. Inhale up, exhale back down. Another time or two each side. And so arm movements, you've got the latissimus dorsi muscle that ties into your upper arm there. And so these arm movements, we can do both arms now. These arm movements can help stretch and tease into the back. So Catherine Scott, see how this feels at that kidney area. And taking only the range of motion that feels good for your body. All right, let's do one more. And just pause here. And then we'll warm the spinal muscles up by rounding the back as you exhale. The back or spine goes toward the chair behind you. And inhale, take a little baby back bend. Back and forth, those two movements. Exhale, a rounded spine. Inhale, a back bend. And you can add the arm movement if you like. When you inhale, the arms can go up or out. And when you exhale, you can land elbows on the thigh or hands to the thigh, or you can take your hands further down the legs toward the floor. As deep a range of motion that you're comfortable doing. All right, so we got the upper body going a little bit. Let's come down to the legs and feet. So place your one foot on something that will easily slide. Let's see if you can see this. Okay. Some of the time the foot can go out flexed, some of the time pointed. And the breath work here is inhale when the leg goes straight, exhale when it bends back in. And inhale out, exhale in. You can also slide it back underneath the chair if you don't have a rung there in the way. All right, we'll begin to take the leg out toward the side on different spokes as the leg goes out, just warming up the hip. You can also turn the foot outward. Please spin from the thigh bone in the socket there. Little external rotation of the thigh. And the leg out toward the side as comfortable for you. Still same breath, inhale out, exhale in, and then work your way back up. Maybe when you're about halfway, maybe at that sort of 45-degree angle off to the side, give or take a few degrees, we'll hold right there and point and flex the foot and circle the ankle around both directions, a time or two around, and then exhale back in and work your way back up toward the top. I'm going to tip the screen down just a bit more so you can see my feet. And we'll switch it over to the other side. And do the same thing over there. First, just going out and in. Inhale out, exhale in. It feels really good to me to flex more, stretching into my calf, but some folks have tight ankles and they like to point more. So you can do whatever feels good for your body. Some of the time you can take that leg further back underneath the chair if you don't have a chair rung in the way. And then we'll start to head out on the angles off to the side. Exhale out, inhaling back in. Sure if that blind open is helping or backlighting me. All right, and then pick out an angle about halfway and we'll hold right there and point and flex. Hope you didn't hear that. That was my stomach growling. Both directions. And then work your way back up to the top. All right, so now that's sort of all the major joints of the body. That is the hips and the shoulders and the spine. We're going to do a little movement with just the head now. So on the exhale, let the head easily drop. Don't force, don't push, just let it go to where it feels comfortable. And again, not too much lifting up. So think about lengthening the back of the neck and the front of the neck. Just those two movements, straight down and straight up. Inhaling when you lift, exhaling when you look down. Think about the whole spine coming in with what the head and neck are doing. So when the head goes up, it's a little bit of a back bend. You can squeeze your shoulder blades in. And when the head goes down, it's a little bit of a rounded spine. You can move your shoulder blades apart. But here the head is leading the movement and the rest of the body follows. All right, and then just come to neutral. We're going to do laterals with the neck. So let the ear drop toward one shoulder. Again, just start small. Lateral to the other side. And the breath work here is exhale when the head goes over. Inhale back to center. Exhaling over. Inhale to center. Do one more each side. Let's see if this helps. Keep the light in from the window. And now let's let the head do a little twist. So exhale, look toward one shoulder or off toward one side. Inhale back to neutral. Exhale, other side. And continue that movement. Exhaling when you move into the twist. Inhale to center. All right, when you're even on both sides, just come to neutral and we're going to repeat the one we did in the beginning. And again, feel free to add the whole spine into that movement. So a little roundedness when you drop the head down, a little baby back bend when the head goes up. All right, and come to neutral. All right, let's take a spinal twist. So here, Catherine, you want to be careful that you don't overdo it. We're gonna take the legs off to an angle. So spin yourself, it's kind of coming off the corner of your chair. And then inhale the arms about shoulder height and exhale, turn so the opposite hand comes to the knee and the other hand can come to the hip or to the back of the chair, whatever's comfortable for you. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, other side. And back and forth like that. Right, and when you're even on both sides, we'll come back to neutral. And staying here at this angle, we're gonna take that kind of cat-cow movement again, that rounded spine and a back bend. Exhale when you round the spine. Inhale in the back bend. All right, and then we're gonna walk it around to the other corner and do the same thing over there. On the inhale, arms up. Exhale, a little twist. Make the twist as mild as you need for your body, or deepen it if your body allows today. Sometimes I like to start more gentle, and as the body gets more warmed up, go a little bit deeper. All right, let's do one more each side. And then staying at this angle on the chair, cat-cow from here. Really emphasizing the cat-cow from the shoulder blades. Before we emphasized it from the head movement, now we're going to work those shoulder blades to create the movement. So where the neurons fire off to make the movement happen can shift how the pose feels. Not only making the pose, the movement more mindful as you're paying attention to where you initiate the movement from, but the changing of habits that I was talking about earlier. So just to emphasize that, let's play with cat-cow right here at the center, and think about the top of the head being like the strings pulling out of the top of your head, and whoever has that string up in the sky is moving forward, and they're taking the top of your head forward, dropping your chin towards your chest, and then they start to pull down toward the floor, and just feel how that top of the head, and people like to visualize this as like a flashlight beam shining out of their head. And that flashlight beam travels down toward the wall, to the floor, and then back up to the wall, to the ceiling. So however you like it, a string pulling or a flashlight beam, or just simply the top of the head is where the movement is initiated from. Right, next we're going to initiate the movement from the shoulder blades like we did a moment ago. So let's start with a rounded spine. So roll your shoulder blades away from each other. This will round your shoulders. Let the whole rest of the spine and head go like you're a puppet, and the strings attached are just to that one area, but the whole body is affected. You know what they say, the hip bone's connected to the thigh bone. To think about that. All right. And then, so we played with those two before. So let's add on the tuck and tilt of the pelvis, starting the movement. So kind of worked our way from the top to the middle and now to the bottom. So let's pull the tailbone forward, rounding or tucking the tail. This will make the rest of the spine go in the rounded position. And then begin to take the pubic bone down, and like it's got a string attached and it's getting pulled on the floor underneath you into the tilted position, back and forth from the pelvis, movement of the pelvis initiating the movement. I'm just going to show this from the side, see if you can see. I like to take a layer off. You can see this. So if I pull my tailbone forward, the pelvis tucks and then the rest of the spine follows. Now I take the pubic bone down away from the navel, which starts to move the pelvis in the opposite direction. The rest of the spine follows. So the pelvis moves first, and then it's like dominoes till it gets to the head. So it's different than the head leading the movement. Now, some people will feel, oh, this moving in that way bothers my lower back. Moving from my head doesn't, which is how I feel. I don't like moving from the tailbone and pelvis, but I mean, it's okay for a few, but like I'm done. So if you discover that, then know that like if you hear a teacher in a class talking about moving from there, don't feel like you have to do it. So adjust it to where you know, oh, it's okay for me to move from my shoulder blades, okay for me to move from the top of my head, because you end up in the same position anyway. So where the neurons fire off to initiate a movement can sort of make or break the comfort level of a pose for some people, especially if you have sort of a, you know, something your body's giving you some talking to you about something. For me, my lower back. Okay, we're going to come back down to the legs and feet, and we're going to turn sideways again. Bring your whatever you're going to slide your feet on. The foot that's closest to the screen needs to be on the sliding apparatus. And we're going to, in those spokes, we're going to do motion in the hip to take more toward the back side of the body. And any rotation of your hip that you like. So now I kind of rolled in but stretched my leg back like a lunge. Now I'm rolling out and taking my leg out, kind of wide legs. So you can play with this as you like. Let's keep the breath coordinated. Inhale the legs out, exhale the leg in. See if you can feel what movement your body needs. That's a stretch for you. This one feels good, stretching those hip flexors there. So if we're used to sitting in chairs and hiking and biking, this normally stays contracted like my other leg and not stretched. So you might enjoy that stretch, and feel free to find a movement and stay there. Enjoy that stretch for a breath or more. I like this one too, getting into my inner thigh and then back in. All right, let's take it straight out and in a time or two, just to square everything back up, and then we'll walk it around to the other side. Don't forget to bring your sliding apparatus with you. And do the same thing over on the other side. Just get that hip a little more warmed up toward these back spokes of the bicycle. That one feels so good. Warm it up a time or two in and out of it before you stay in it. And it's always good to make sure you can get in and out of a pose before you stay in it. And if comfortable, feel free to stay for a breath or more. And find another one that you feel comfortable staying in. If you can't find one that you feel comfortable staying in, then you just keep moving in and out. Most of the time for beginners, we just keep them moving in and out, and not holding poses. So if you're more a beginner, or if your body's stiffer or healing from something, it might be better for you to keep moving. All right, let's square it up in the front with both feet on your blanket or your sliders. You can hold your hands back behind you, stretch the legs out on the inhale, back in on the exhale. Some of the time you can point, some of the time flex. All right, and then bring the one foot in underneath, tucking the toes. Let me turn sideways so you can see that toes are tucked. And see if you can get it underneath. If you have a rung there, you might need to slide off to one side to get the toes. You can get a little toe stretch here. You don't have to be on the slider. You can push your blanket to the side or a paper plate or whatever with the toes tucked under. That's not quite visible there. Oops. Let's see. So with the toe tucked under, you're going to rock your heel side to side, just stretching across the ball of the foot there. And sometimes more toward the pinky, sometimes toward the big toe. All right, and then we'll turn and do the same thing on the other side. You might be able to do it underneath the chair if you don't have a rung there, or drop off to the side of the chair, or you can turn sideways like I'm doing. Any of those will work. So that was with the toes tucked under. We're going to do the same thing, but with the toes pointed. So point the toes, keep the top of the toe down, and the heel is going to lift back. Show that again up close. I need a cameraman with a zoom. So my toes pointed, and then push the heel back a little bit so it's not forward. Heel back a little bit and rock across the top of the toes. Feels so good. Our toes are kind of neglected. Especially in the winter, we stick them in shoes and socks and forget about them. And they really work so hard for us. So once again, the toes are pointed and rocking the heel side to side. Oh, that one, my big toe doesn't like that one. I just easily do not quite as deep a rock toward the big toe. All right. All right, we're going to come into some standing poses now. So we're going to turn sideways to the chair. You can be at that angle, or you can go all the way to the side. I'm going to do the angle first. You need your slider for the foot that's closest to the screen. And we're going to take that back in a lunge or out more toward the screen in front. Finding one of those spokes that you can stay with. So it has to feel comfortable. Doesn't have to be a deep stretch for you. So pick one that you can stay. And your heel can be up like mine is now, or you can turn the foot down so it's more like if you were, didn't have your chair and you were standing. All right, we're going to turn toward the bent knee, and on an exhale, either a cat pose or you can fold over that front knee and back up. And go again. Exhale down, inhale up, and then exhale here. And on the inhale, raise the arms. You can do cactus pose or the arms can go more up. An extra breath there, and then turn toward the screen and take the arms out to the sides for warrior two. So the first one was warrior one. We'll just stay here for a breath. Let the shoulder blades come in, bottom tips of the shoulder blades in, top of the shoulder blades broad. Then relax the arms down, turn toward your bent knee again and fold over it, exhaling. Inhale back up, and then bend your back knee and ease that leg in and out a couple of times. Working your way back up, and then we're going to walk ourselves around to the other side. And we'll take warrior one and two over here. So foot that's nearest the screen, slide it around, inhale out, exhale in. Finding one of these positions that feels comfortable, not too deep of a stretch that you can hold for a little bit. Should be comfortable enough to stay in for several breaths. Turn to face your bent knee. Exhale over. Inhaling up. And repeat. Exhale over. Inhaling up. Then we'll stay there. Add the arms. Inhale the arms. Inhale the arms up and bending on the exhale. And then arms can go out to the sides for warrior two. Watch those shoulder blades. Bring the bottom tips of the shoulder blades in, not the top. Keep the top of the shoulder blades wide apart, like someone pulling your fingers away from each other, fingers on the left and right, being pulled apart. But you're hugging your bottom tips of your shoulder blades in to keep them from ripping your arms off. And then a nice yoga image. And then relax your arms down, turn toward your front knee. And we'll repeat either a cat-cow or a forward bend and up. And then the back leg will bend and we'll bring that in and out as we work our leg back to the front to meet the other. All right, let's come to the front. And a rounded spine, exhaling, and a back bend. And repeat. All right. All right, let's come to the fingers. Come forward for this. Okay, so pressing your hands together like prayer position, but then keep the fingers pressing the whole line of the finger, the whole length of the finger. Begin to pull the wrists apart. So you want the entire length of the finger to press, and usually the pinky side or the index finger side comes undone. So like we rocked across the heel, rocking in and out to get that stretch through the neck of the toe. We're going to rock across, roll your wrists kind of in and out to get the stretch across those fingers, the whole length of the fingers. All right, and then just the fingertips touching and press. We're going to exhale, press. Inhale, relax. Again, exhale, press. Inhale, relax. All right, and then take just one hand. Keep the wrists straight, so not flexing the wrist forward or back. And take one finger, let's see, and draw the finger back. And then the next finger, it's hard to figure this out. There we go. And then the next finger, and the next finger, and thumb too. And so I was going backwards that time. I'm going to go forward. So the finger's coming toward the palm, one finger at a time, stretching across, and the thumb you can fold into, right? And then let's take 2 fingers at a time, stretching them back, any 2. You can even skip a finger and do 2 as you like. And I suppose you can get the thumb in there too. And just massage through the metacarpals, these long bones in the palm. Massage up and down and in between them and all around, and your knuckles too. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So again, not flexing the wrist forward or back, and bending one finger at a time, stretching it back. Doesn't matter what the other fingers do. Sometimes they curl and do funky things. That's okay. And then the finger coming in toward the palm. And the thumb too. 2 fingers at a time. Flexing. Normally we grab and grip, all day long. So this moving the fingers back is so good for arthritis and for helping your fingers. Let's see, where did I leave off? Every other finger, did we do that? Right, and massaging across the metacarpal bones there, in between them, getting into those tendons. All right, and then we're going to take the arm, the elbow's going to start bent. I'm not sure which way to show this on screen, this way, I guess. And you don't have to flex the wrist back. It will come back, but if you have carpal tunnel or any wrist issues, you can do this with just with the wrist staying there and just the fingers going back like we did a moment ago. But the elbow, you want the elbow to go straighter. So again, you can do just the fingers or fingers and wrist, your choice. The idea is to get that elbow to go straighter, elbow straighter. Right, and do both sides. And then emphasizing across the hand. So this is sometimes more of the pinky, sometimes more of the index finger. And this comes all the way up in toward the elbow. So you have tender spots here in the near the elbow, tennis elbow and things like that. These movements can really help. All right, and we're going to take clasp the fingers, clasp the hands, and turn the palms toward the screen. Push the index finger side a little bit more. We tend to kind of roll it that way. So and get the arms as straight as they're willing to go. Watch you're not rounding your shoulder blades. So keep your shoulder blade tips toward each other. Shake it out. So whichever way you just naturally clasp, that's your natural clasp. We're gonna, if you look down and see which thumb and index finger is on top. So my left thumb is on top of my right, my left index finger on top. So I'm going to switch it over so it's my unnatural clasp. Now my right thumb is on top and the right index finger leads. So same thing, we're going to turn the palms inside out, stretching your palms toward the screen there. Elbows go straighter and straighter, reach through the index finger side more, squeeze your shoulder blade tips in toward each other. And release and shake it out. We're going to do that same stretch overhead. So, clasp the hands, your natural clasp. Take the palms up over your head and let the elbows go as straight as they're willing to go today. Ah, so good. And again, the bottom tips of the shoulder blades in toward each other. Push the index fingers up more toward the ceiling. And release. We're going to change the clasp to your unnatural clasp and repeat. Arms going straighter and straighter, index fingers toward the ceiling. Squeeze the bottom tips of your shoulder blades in. And release. All right. Let's come back to the spine. Back up a little bit. Back to the spine and take a lateral. Hands to the hips, lengthen the spine. So that string that we had coming out of the top of the head, lengthen, pull that string up, lengthening your spine. Tailbone and pubic bone move down. So you get a nice long spine. You're sort of being pulled in two directions, making yourself taller. Inhale into that nice length. Let's take an inhale into the back kidney area there. And on the exhale, over you go. A little lateral over toward one side. Keep that outside hip pulling down. Come on back up on the inhale. Second side, exhale over. Inhale back up. All right, so two strings attached to your sit bones pulling down. So as you go toward one side, that one hip lifts up a little bit. It's all right if it comes a little bit off, but the intention is to pull that string down. And the tailbone and pubic bone have strings. So you got 4 strings of your root chakra. And if you know your chakras, you might know the symbol for the root chakra is a square. So 4 sides. So there's your 4 sides of your root chakra. Left and right sit bones and tailbone and pubic bone. Keep those 4 strings pulling down. Away from that, pull up out through the crown of the head. Exhale and then breathe into your kidneys back here. I'm going to take that lateral again. In that lateral, pull the 4 strings down, especially that back hip. That sit bone on that back hip, it likes to lift. Then this down arm, I forgot to get my blocks. I moved my chair. Hopefully you didn't move your chair. So you can either keep your hands on your hips as we did before, or hand can slide on chair leg or chair rung or something, or you can bring your hand down to the block. Keep breathing into those kidneys. And you can add that top arm up and over if you like, anywhere you like to stretch through that side waist. Keep breathing into those kidney area. There you go. And then you can put that top arm in reverse back to the hip, ground that hip down, like the string on that hip gets pulled down even more to bring you up, top string pulling up. Exhale over second side. Hand can be anywhere, the down arm, hand, find a place for your hand, keeping it on the hip or chair part or on your block. Shoulder blade tips toward each other. You're breathing in your kidneys. Keeping all 4 corners of your root chakra pulling down. Add that arm anywhere you like. Feels so good. And then pull the string on that back leg, pull that string back down to help you come back up, lengthening out through the string at the top of the head as you come up to the top. All right, and then we'll take a cat-cow here. Let's do the cat-cow from the string out through the top of the head again. Top of the head starts the movement. The rest of the spine follows. Top of the head starts to lift. The rest of the spine follows. You can add the shoulder blades that when you feel that thoracic spine moving, as you come up, the thoracic spine starts to move. Use your shoulder blades to emphasize that. Let them kind of come into the pose as well. All right, and then come to neutral. All right. Let's take some counter posing now for the arms and legs and everything. You need to bring your sliders back in. Wherever your legs or feet are going to slide on the inhale, slide out. If comfortable and your chair is stable, you can do arms and legs at the same time. So arms up and out, or out, and legs up and or out. So your legs can go out and arms up. You can do all kinds of things. Or legs up and arms out. Exhale in, or both straight out and straight up. back in, or everything out wide like a starfish. Any combination. And if your chair is unstable, you can do one arm and one leg, same side, one arm and one leg, same side, or opposite arm and leg. Doesn't matter. And the range of motion can be out, up, any of those same things we were just playing with both simultaneously. So whatever is comfortable for you, just moving the limbs in and out. When the limbs are going, see if you can notice that the spine is doing a little bit of that rounded and back bend, those two things. So when you spread out, that should be an inhale and there'd be tiniest back bend. When you bring things back in, a tiniest of a rounded spine or a forward bend. All right, let's do two more. I think that was two. All right, and then relax. We're going to take palming. Let me show this from the side. You can stay facing forward. I'll show it from the side. So it keeps that cat-cow movement of the spine happening, but we're going to add palming to that. So when you round the spine, cup the palms over the eyes. That's your exhale. When you inhale, slide the hands down, tiniest of a back bend, just barely past neutral. Exhale, rounding. So we're trying to cut the back bending movement out now and make it less and less. So even just to straight now, straight up, sitting up straight without doing any back bend at all. If comfortable, feel free to stay with the hands cupping the eyes for a breath or more. If that's not comfortable, keep moving in and out. When you can block out the light completely without pushing on your cornea, so just cupping over. When the eyes see nothing but darkness, they really relax. So let those eye muscles just enjoy that darkness and release and relax. And when the eyes relax, that can spread to the rest of the body. So keep that relaxed feeling in your body as you start to slide your hands down. You can spread the fingers a little more so that light doesn't jar the nervous system. And relax your hands down anywhere, shoulders relaxed. We're going to come back down to feeling the feet. In that same way we started class with that visualization of the feet being the source of the breath coming into the body. Instead of the nostrils, breath's going to come in from the feet. In and out. Breathe in through the feet, up as high up into the body as comfortable. Exhale back out through the feet. Like your feet are your nostrils. And feel free to lean back into the back chair back now if your back muscles are tired. You're fatigued from our class, just rest now. All right, here's a tricky one. We're going to imagine breathing in just 1 foot. Breathe in 1 foot all the way up, as high up into the head if comfortable. Hold the breath in your head, that's your inhale, hold. And then exhale out the other side, out that foot. And then back in through that foot. You just exhaled all the way up into the head. And exhale out the other side, out through the other foot. And continue that visualization of out one side, exhaling out, inhale right back in that side, and then exhale out the other side and inhale. So you exhale and inhale on one side, and then exhale and inhale the other side. So this is alternate foot breathing instead of alternate nostril breathing. Right. If you can tell which breath you need to finish up so you're even on both sides, then when you're even on both sides, repeat the inhale and exhale out both nostrils simultaneously. I'm sorry, both feet simultaneously.